Hello, Lanesville community. My name is Ian Daecher. I'm the principal here at LIC. I'm here with our counselor. I'll let her introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. My name's Kate Kasabo. I'm the school counselor.
And we are here to present something to you about our reopening. We want to make sure you feel comfortable with the opening of our 2020-2021 school year. And we wanted to present some slides to you. Mrs. Kasabo is going to jump out when we get through about the 5th or 6th slide where she has some information, but I'm going to walk you through some of the steps that we've been spending all summer long preparing to have a safe and fantastic school year. So having said that, I'm going to share my screen here. So if you give me a moment. And Mrs. Kasaba, are we full screen? I imagine we are now.
We are full screen.
All right, let me move this over here because most of the information will be over there. And again, here's some part of our reopening plan that we are putting out to our staff, but I want to make sure that all of our community members and our family members feel good about this as well. I'm also going to try and do my best to put a video out there for our students as well too, so they can kind of see more in person what the school day will look like and how it'll be a little bit different from previous years. So the big thing here that we want to focus on, and again, I'll move us over here so you can see what's on the screen, is that we're really focused on that we can only mitigate some of the risks that are going to be present this year. So we're going to be really explicit in instructing our students and our staff and our faculty on how to be healthy with their hygiene. If they're not feeling well, to stay home, practicing that physical distancing. I know I don't like the term social distancing. I don't know about you, Mrs. Kasaba. How do you feel about that term?
No, we love to be social.
So the physical distancing is important, but we still want to have those social connections and making sure that our students have face coverings anytime they're within 6 feet of each other. So there are some practices that we're trying to make sure we're put in place, but what you're going to hear over and over again and what you're going to, our students are going to hear over and over again is that social distance. Well, like again, we like to say physical distance. To wear the face coverings, whether that's a shield or a mask or the gaiters that they're talking about, the sleeves types of things, and then practicing the good personal hygiene. You're going to see hand washing throughout this presentation as well too. Having said that, that was a little bit of the physical safety components of what we were talking about for reopening. I'm going to turn it over here to Mrs. Kasabo because it is going to feel different. It's not going to be the normal that our students and our faculty and our staff are going to see. And understanding their social and emotional health and well-being as well too is going to be critical. And I asked her to join me, and she knows how important this is. She has done a great job of building a culture here of having strong social emotional instruction and learning, and having that mindset with our teachers and our students as well too. So, Mrs. Kasaba?
Yeah. First and foremost, we just want to make sure that we're reconnecting as a school. We know it's been a while since March 13th that any of us have been in school. And, you know, as much as we missed it and we want it to get back to the school that we knew, it is going to look a little bit different. So we really want to focus those first couple weeks on just reconnecting with each other, rebuilding all those relationships that got disrupted a little bit last spring, and just sort of figuring out the new normal of what school looks like and what the expectations look like and how we function from day to day in a way that's safe, but also still brings us together. We want to work on those positive relationships, building those classroom and school community. And then also talking about, you know, some growth mindset that we always focus on here at LIC. What does that look like? And, you know, the new learning, and including some of our friends that are going to be digital or going to be online. You know, what does that look like for all of us? And I think there's going to be a learning curve for us as educators as we navigate all that, but we're in it together with students, and we're excited to get started. And we just want to make sure that all the students feel comfortable and safe and ready to learn in this new normal. So we're going to be checking in, we're going to be doing lessons, we're going to be doing class meetings. We're excited to be together again, you know, whatever that looks like, whether that's here in person or virtually, and just, you know, navigating this new school year together. So this is my email and my phone number if you have any questions, you know, about what any of the social emotional learning is going to look like. And I'm happy to talk to you or answer any questions you might have. Like I said, we're all learning too and navigating this together. So, you know, questions, I welcome them, and hopefully we can, you know, like I said, navigate this together.
Yeah, and I would say focus the questions that you might have about if there's any concern or anxiety about specific things, or, you know, the social emotional piece to Mrs. Kasabo. And if you had more of the reopening types of questions, and I have my email at the end to send those to me, or if you have questions about health, to navigate those to Mrs. Bob, our nurse, which I have her email at the end as well too. But Mrs. Kasabo is extremely busy, so she was very kind to join us, but she's going to go ahead and hop out here. Thank you, Mrs. Kasabo. And again, if you need her, you can contact her that way.
You're welcome. See everyone soon.
Okay, so I just went ahead and did a kind of a chronological, this is what it's going to look like, our reopening plan here at LIC. So at arrival, even before arrival starts, we're going to have we're going to ask you to make sure that you're doing those screening symptoms at home. We're asking that all the parents do that at home to make sure that if the child's not feeling well, that they stay at home. And what do some of those symptoms look like? If I pull up the PDE guideline here, hopefully, let me see, I'm not sure if I'm still sharing my screen. Hopefully I am. But if not, I have the website on here, the PDE website on the symptoms, the fever of 100.4, the cough, the shortness of breath, any of those things in that group A that are listed, then we get one of those symptoms to stay home. But again, more than those symptoms in group B to stay at home. And we have some flexibility with our attendance policy this year. I would really make sure that you would think about, when you're in doubt about their health and safety, if they're not feeling well, is to keep them home. So let me get back here to my screen. I hope I was still sharing with that, because there's good information there about those symptoms. All right. And you might see, I might move my face around here in the recording a few times just so that you can see the information. Before school starts, we'll make sure that we have areas set up. You'll see here on the right, our bus riders will come through here. On the left, our car riders will come through here. We'll have cones separated. We'll have hand sanitizers out there, because students should hand sanitize that before they even come through the door. Anytime that the people have to come in through our office, we have our hand sanitizer here. This interior door is locked for our closing for some safety needs or issues, but this is an area where if people need to get in, they can go ahead and use it. You can see that even we have some things there for hand sanitizing of common use as well too. Why do I feel that? My apologies. Yes, okay, I'm sorry. Yes, when the door's on the inside. I thought I skipped a slide there by accident. So the interior doors for classrooms, I know this was an issue that people felt that we were going to leave the doors wide open all day long. Any of our exterior doors stay closed and locked for safety reasons, but our interior classroom doors, they'll be locked but left open to allow for some of that air circulation. That office door is the one that will remain closed. And for visitors check-ins, we're really you're gonna see the next slide about trying to make sure people don't come in for visitor check-ins. But if you are going to be checked in, or if you're dropping something off, we're gonna add a table out there, and you'll see that in a second to drop off. But anytime you have a late arrival, or you're picking somebody up for a doctor's appointment or a dentist appointment, we'll check your license there, and we'll be either tracking that electronically. In the past, that you've had to sign your student out. Be sure you still have your license, because that's really important when you're picking up a child. But we will have plexiglass in front of the secretary's workstations as well too. And if we do have a parent or two in there, we may ask you to wait outside patiently until we have less people in there. And we thank you for your patience, not only with our plan and everything we're going to be doing here, because that's going to be important, but also if we have to have you wait outside for a few moments. This is the table. Oops, skip past the slide there. This is a table that if you have to drop off a lunch bag or an iPad because your child forgot it at home, well, it'll buzz you in and then ask you to place it there and have you leave. We won't have the paper or pencils or pens like that. And we will be wiping down tables and desks throughout the day. Here's a big one that I want you to think about, because we're going to have a number of people that are going to be car riders. I am going to ask you to arrive earlier than normal if you can. Car riders and bike riders, I'd ask you to arrive after that 8:40 time. But if you're dropping off, I ask you to drop off or try and get in that line as soon as you can. And if you can't come at that time, to try and wait till closer to that 8:45, 8:50 time. But what I'll be able to do is I'll be able to start bringing some people in earlier so we don't back up our car rider loop. I'm going to allow some people to come in earlier to wait into our cafeteria. Again, walking through the left side of the doors, hand sanitized when you come through. The doors will be open for less touch at that time, but they'll also be staffed. When they come in, if we're going to have them come in early, they should have their face coverings on. They will have their face coverings on, and then you'll come into the cafeteria where we have 87 seats set up for us to take in some early car riders. That way our car rider loop doesn't get backed up and we aren't causing traffic issues. We may also consider using the library and LGI if after a few days I find that there are a number of people and we're having traffic issues. I may adjust some staffing so there are people there for them in the LGI or the library. For our bus riders, they're going to remain on the bus until I'm able to direct them to come off of the bus. They're going to come in one at a time. And again, with the face coverings on and washing hands as they come through the right side of the building. When they come in, they're going to have that option to either go to breakfast. And again, we have 87 spots in there. We're going to be cleaning that in between the students that are leaving from being early car rider drop-offs and coming in to eat lunch. The hand sanitize upon coming in. This center stairwell is our center stairwell. You may only come up the steps. We're not going to have students come down the steps, as to prevent any kind of unneeded close contact between students that are not in the same classrooms. This year, students will be mostly in their homeroom classrooms and stay with their homeroom classrooms, with the exception of our special education, our gifted, our speech and language, and our pre-algebra class as well too. They'll just be staying in their classroom in a self-contained format. So we're trying to avoid as much as we can having students, coming into contact with each other from different classrooms. So they can either go to breakfast to start their day. Again, we'll have desks and chairs set up there 6 feet apart for them to be able to eat. And if not, they can just go directly to their classroom. Again, I talked about this already, breakfast 6 feet away. You see X's on there. We're getting dots coming in that don't look so bad. There'll be dots there where they can take a seat and sit 6 feet apart to be able to remove their face coverings to eat. When they're finished, they put their face coverings back on. Anytime they're traveling, we sanitize and clean the tables and chairs. And they're going to go directly to their classroom. This is a big one. I know this is a little bit different, especially for our parents out there. We're asking that you do not come in and visit. We're not having our senior volunteers come in and work as well. At this time, we're asking that you not come in. And if you do need to come in for something, if we're having a meeting, obviously it's a little bit different for a 504 and an IEP meeting, but if there's something you need to stop into the school here, that you call and get it approved by myself first. During the day, this is really, really important. So if you have something to take notes on this, please. I highlight things. These are something that we're asking that we bring in so that your child can have a wonderful day here at school. A fully charged iPad is really important. We have common charging stations, but we want to try and avoid using those as much as possible. That's kind of normal for any school year, but even more important this year. A clearly marked water bottle, water bottle with a name on it would really be best. We're not going to have our water fountains readily available to our students. So we have encouraged in the past that students have water bottles. We're really going to encourage it this year, and that you have your name on it so that they can have it at their desk. They're not getting up and moving around or sharing different, in the past, that water fountain would be a high touch area. We want to try and avoid all those high touch areas. So we will have our sink available. Our water fountain won't, but it's the same piping that goes to it, but they'll be able to fill up their water right there in the sink. To be able to refill their water bottles throughout the day. We're also encouraging that you bring a pencil box that can keep all their materials contained in that area, so it's easy for them to take home back and forth if necessary as well. We're also encouraging, if you have personal hand sanitizers, the small ones that fit in the desks, those will be really nice as well too, especially if you know that your child prefers one of the certain type. headphones and earbuds. So many times there's going to be an opportunity where students are going to have independent or cooperative learning at tasks that they're going to be at their desks and using their earbuds and headphones. We have them here, but we, to try and reduce the amount of cleaning that we have, we really highly encourage, and plus I have children at home. I have an 8 and a 6-year-old and a 2-year-old. I know they have specific preferences on the type of headphones they wear. If you have some of those that you can bring from home that they can keep here, we highly, highly recommend that. Also, we're going to be going outside a lot, especially for mask breaks, some fresh air breaks. So if you know that your child burns easily, my oldest burns rather easily, or as we get into colder weather, that we highly encourage that sunscreen, hats, coats, that you know that they're going to be outside a lot more frequently than they were in a normal school year. So student preparedness, again, if your child, I'm sure, has been wearing some face coverings or face shields, the masks, the shields, the gaiters that I've seen people use, the kind of sleeve type of things, we ask that if your child feels comfortable wearing those, and I have a link here, that you should start practicing that at home, making sure that they feel comfortable for longer periods of time, not like 2 hours straight or anything like that. But if you have a mask or a shield that you know that they feel comfortable with, that they wear it obviously the first day of school when they're coming in through the doors. If you don't, please contact me ahead of time so we can make sure that we can get that prepared and have to you for that first day of school. So I'm just going to show this link really quickly because I love this article. It's an article I'm sharing with my staff, how to get students used to masks, but just really, they really emphasize that you can really help by getting their kids used to wearing masks for increasing intervals even before school begins. And that's the big thing, that when I get to the breaks section here, you're going to see that increasing intervals, that as students get more and more used to it, that we can take bigger breaks, we can spend more time in instruction versus taking the mask breaks. All right, arrival to class. Typically, they obviously, you're going to see this again and again, the hand sanitizer when they arrive, but usually they have lockers. We are lucky that our desks have hooks on it. We're asking them to keep their hooks on it just because then there's no less touching of book bags and lunch bags and those types of things. In the past, they would write their lunch count out. We're asking the teachers to do that virtually or verbally. They can do it with their iPads now. And only if there's really organizational issues to use the lockers. We want to try and avoid some of those shared time, shared items. Classroom setup, you're going to see that we're trying to separate as much as possible. The guidance that we received was try your best to get to 6 feet. If not, that's not feasible, to, again, do your best. Most of our classrooms, as of right now, I haven't removed some for our virtual and our homeschool students, but for most of our desks, they're about 4.5 feet separated as of right now. So they would have to wear their mask during that instruction if we can't get them to 6 feet. In the regular classrooms, we can't do that. In our specials, you'll see we're able to do that. We want to limit our movement around the room. If you're going to get up and move around the room, face coverings are going to need to go on. You're going to see, I talked about this before, the sink is there to be able to fill waters up. Anytime that we use any shared supplies, we're going to hand sanitize before and hand sanitize after. We're really working with the district to make sure students have whiteboards and markers in their desks, the calculators in their desks. That the teachers, if we need to pass anything out, we pass that out on our own, not having a student helper do that. And teachers are going to work to make sure that they have a procedure for their classroom libraries for books, because we don't really want kids paging through all the books and doing all those different things. We want them to kind of pick the book that they have. We highly encourage that they bring a book the first day of school so that they know they have it for their reading workshop time or any time where they may be an early finisher. Desk spacing, you're going to see we have a teacher area up front here, but again, they're going to have that opportunity to be away from each other and facing in the same direction. This is not the way it typically looks like, but again, it's not something where it's too out of the ordinary. There are times where we are in desks and rows, especially during the state testing months of March and April. So they have seen this before. Normally we're in pods or small group instruction. This is something that will be the kind of the new normal for the 2020-2021 school year to start. They're going to be cleaned throughout the day and every single night as well. Again, if there's small group instruction going on, we have that 6 foot distance. So kind of got cut off there for the removal of the face coverings, but they're hand sanitizing upon arrival, hand sanitizing upon exit, and then wearing their face coverings anytime they're traveling. Traveling in the hallways, we're gonna have dots down the hallways. If you've ever been down to the beach on Route 41, and I always remember that sign that says keep 2 dots between you and me. That's something we're gonna really be focused on, that when we're walking in the hallways, they used to keep that 2-dot distance away, so we're staying 6 feet apart. The dots are 6 feet apart down the hallway. And you're gonna wear those face coverings anytime we're traveling. You're gonna see we're gonna stay on that second square. It's kind of hard to see in the picture, but there's squares, the tiles along our hallway. We're asking that the students stay on that second square off of the wall so they're not running their hands against the wall. Again, those shared touch items. What's nice is our second squares on each side is 6 feet apart, and we're only going to use the right side of the hallway, same as they would any other year. But again, emphasizing that it's going to be a lot of teaching, a lot of emphasizing about some routines that are going to be different this year. Breaks. I'm glad we got to this. I'm going to really emphasize to my staff that we want to take as many of the face covering breaks as early as possible, or as often as possible to start the year. Our kids are going to get used to this. We're going to get used to this, but at first it's going to feel different. And we're not going to probably like it as much, but what's going to be nice is we're going to be around each other, which I know that I've heard over and over again from our families and our parents that they can't wait for the kids that are returning, for them to see each other and be part of that school community again. I miss seeing the kids. I miss seeing the smiles, the excitement, the joy of being around each other. It's been tough in that sense, but I can't wait for August 25th. We're going to encourage our staff, our faculty, to do as many outdoor mask covering breaks. We have some areas indoor as well too, where students or teachers can take their students to do face covering breaks, so they can be 6 feet apart. We're calling, I like the term Mr. Bremersky uses, fresh air breaks, and at appropriate times. So I didn't want to schedule a time for them. I really want our teachers to get to know our students and kind of get a feel for when they need these fresh air breaks. And they're going to be often at the beginning of the year. In fact, it's going to be very difficult for them to get a tremendous amount of instruction in any sense that it's going to be in such a way, especially in the beginning of the year. We want to make sure that we're taking the time to really, like Mrs. Kasabo said, make sure we feel comfortable, safe, we feel part of a school community. And you have to remove all those factors of fear and anxiety before we get to some of those higher order thinking skills. Our teachers are excellent at it. We just have this added situation with the face coverings where we're going to have to do more fresh air breaks, which is going to break up instruction. And we understand that. And I appreciate the support from Mr. Bremersky and the school board that we know that's something that we're going to have to focus on. But as the year progresses and kids get more used to the idea of having the mask on during the instruction, there'll be less and less of the fresh air breaks. And really, they're more as needed. And the teachers are great at understanding our students on when they need those breaks. But at the beginning of the year, they're going to happen much more frequently than they would as the year progresses and students get more used to the new normal. Bathroom breaks, we're going to have QR codes for students, or verbal, like kind of sign outs for the QR code, or a QR code is a thing where you scan and it records that you're going to go into the bathroom. We're not taking any whole classroom breaks. We're again encouraging physical distancing, and you're going to see the hand sanitizing, face coverings on when traveling, and hand sanitizing whenever students arrive to classrooms. The library, you can see we've separated out so they're 6 feet apart. Our library classes are 45 minutes long. They'll come in, take a seat with their iPads, have their lesson with Mrs. Wagner, our librarian, and then they're going to go ahead and kind of pick and choose and select the book they want to find. And then rather than walk around the library paging through different books, they're going to have that book ready that they're going to want to pick out and go pick out that book and be able to have time to read it there in the library. Homeroom teacher's going to drop them off, pick them up as in any normal year. Physical education, our gym area is reduced, so they're going to go outside as much as possible. Again, this is why we want you to focus on having your child dressed for the weather on every single day. Be really cognizant of how hot it is or how humid it is. But it's going to be more of a focus on personal fitness. And we're going to make sure that students are separated, whether they're inside or outside. We're going to try and get outside as much as possible. But when they're inside, that they'll be separated 6 feet apart so they can, if they would like to move their face coverings to be able to breathe more easily in the phys ed classroom. Music, again, what's great about our specialists is they're big classrooms and they're able to separate. You're going to see the little white note cards. Mrs. Ord came in the other day and we made sure that we had plenty of room for children to come in. In music class, they usually come in and sit right there on the carpet in front of Mrs. Ord for their lesson. Now they're going to be just a little bit more separated out there, that 6-foot distance in all ways, so they can sit or stand for the instruction that she has for that day. Art, we're creating these dividers for right now. I'm still waiting on some approval on this, so this may change. We may just separate it into tables where they're 6 feet apart. But as of right now, what's going to be great is that our students are going to have individual student art kits. There won't be any shared art equipment. If there is any of that, we would obviously do the cleaning of that, any of the shared art tools. But we've put in place with Miss Blackledge individual art supplies that are going to be purchased for every student. That'll be kept in the art room. They only get art every 6 days, so it'll be nice is once that classroom's art supplies are put away, for the 6 to 8 days from then, they'll be sanitary for them to use again as well too. So we're really excited about the things we have in art. If this divider system doesn't work, we also have some backup plans for tables for students to be separated as well too. Instrumentals, we have different areas. We're looking at our stage right now. We're looking at our one science lab so students can separate for our band and orchestra. Lunch is going to be a really important one. Students are going to walk in with their face coverings. They're sanitized before they eat and then after they eat. Anytime the packers that I showed you on, they're going to have their lunch bags on their hooks on their desks. Now they're going to be able to take them off and go ahead and walk them right down to lunch. They won't be carried in big bins like they have in the past with us. We're going to have dots for them to be able to sit six feet apart. The green dots will be for that first lunch. You'll see that they'll be able to, I had the blue X's on the tables you saw before, but now they're going to have stickers on certain areas that'll be 6 feet apart. The green dots for the people that eat first lunch, a fifth grade, an entire fifth grade or entire fourth grade. Half of them eat lunch first and the other half go to recess, and then they flip-flop. So in that flip-flop process, the second group would sit at different tables. We'll have an area for allergies as well if that's a necessity, but please make sure that Mrs. Bupp and I are aware of that, our nurse, Mrs. Bupp. Again, the purchasing lunch, they're going to walk through lines with their face coverings on. Again, I just said about the allergies monitoring by our nurse, and we'll be cleaning those in between each one of the lunches. This is our outside area, part of our recess area, our macadam part of our recess area. The first lunch, they're going to, again, like I said, sit at 6 feet apart. Then they'll dismiss to come out to recess. We're going to dismiss through these hallway doors over here to the playground. And then the second lunch, they're going to arrive. The packers are going to arrive last so that we have time to make sure we have it clean between the two lunches. Again, I said this before, it's kind of a repeat, but sitting at one colored, the first lunch, the second lunch is going to sit at a different color and arriving through certain doors. Again, this is something I'm emphasizing and making sure that everybody has an understanding, both for my parents and for my faculty. You can see this is presented at our school board, the different condiments, that there'll be packets, that there's going to be continuous cleaning, that there's going to be dividers and individual packaging, and the cafeteria serving the food to the students. For the recess, this is the other door, one of our other recess doors. The students will be coming in if you had recess first and you're going out to lunch. These are the doors that they'll be entering, so there won't be any crossing between the group that'll be coming out this way. We're going to have little marks on the ground here that are going to be 6 feet apart for our people that go out to recess first. Our teacher's going to bring them out to recess. And then they're going to be able to place if they're packers, they're going to place their lunches on these 6 feet apart from each other. And then that's when they'll line up to come back in. Here's the area for the first 8 days. We plan on having our students use our one field for a walk and talk time. We're asking that you don't bring any equipment from home. We're not going to be using any recess equipment for right now. No hard equipment, no soft equipment like the kickballs and those types of things. We're asking that we're going to be really vigilant about them staying 6 feet apart and having that time to do walk and talk on the field right out here by our playground. We want to focus on that for the first 8 days, and then for the next the next week when we get back from the Labor Day break, we're going to focus on another set depending on the state that we're in here with our school. These are the doors that they'll come in, and our buyers from recess, if they had recess first, they'll come in here, but get their food and come and take a seat. And then at the end, they'll get picked up. our second recess people will be picked up by our teachers. Our people that are eating lunch second will exit and get picked up by their teachers at that time. So I put out a big diagram just for my teachers to be able to understand, because it is a little bit of a complicated process. But the biggest thing is the whole flow that you're going to see is that there's not going to be any of that crossing or passing back and forth between each other, between the first and second groups, so that we try and keep students separated and stay in that self-containment model. If there's any wellness concerns, you're going to contact the nurse. Our staff will contact the nurse if they're not feeling well. If you're not sure about something at home, please feel free to contact our nurse and ask questions about possibilities of what the next best step should be. We have a protocol for our students entering. They're going to hand sanitize when they come through. If they're just waiting in this waiting area, they'll be sitting 6 feet apart, not facing one another. If it's just a matter of such a way that they just need something quick, like a Band-Aid or something like in a triage section, we'll be able to handle that in our nurses station area. Again, medications will be distributed, and any quick little triage type of first aid type of things will be in this area. If a student is not feeling well and they need isolated, we'll have an area back here, some illness area in a completely different room, so there won't be any of that. I don't know the term cross-contamination. They won't be passing back and forth between each other. And then for any students that need any medical care for diabetes or seizures, tube feedings, and those type of things, is in a completely third and separate room. So you can see our nursing staff has done an excellent job in making sure that students are separated for illnesses or issues or medications, or just a simple Band-Aid cover up because a kid scraped his knee out at recess. They really stepped up and worked through that. So I thank our nursing department for that. Dismissal at the end of the day. All right, we'll start talking about dismissing around 3:28, have them packed up. We'll get the announcements on at 3:30. Students are to take their iPads home every single day. That's a big emphasis that we ask them to take their iPads home every day. Car riders and buses, we're going to do that via loudspeaker. The big thing that I want you to know as parents is if you are picking them up via car, make sure they have a sign on your window. If you had a Mark and Greg Jones you're picking up, put that sign up so that we can quickly see who it is. We don't have to come over to your window and talk to you, and again, have that interaction that we normally like to have, but we want to try and avoid right now. So have that sign up so we can radio it in. We'll then make that announcement to the student in that classroom, and they'll come down for their dismissal time. This is from our school board that we're trying to make sure that we try and get to a seat in the passenger buses for those of you that are going to have bus riders. Any other considerations quickly, except for face covering? These are the exceptions for face coverings, and these are things that, again, are on the PDE website, and those of you that have seen our school board meetings have been reviewed rather explicitly, but these are the exceptions for students that cannot wear a face covering. Any cleaning protocols, again, this was heavily emphasized in our school board meetings, but we're trying to get better filters in there. We have a number of different cleaning. I just talked to our COFO today. He came over to tour our building, and we talked a lot about the cleaning processes as he was reviewing our reopening plan. So it's been a great collaborative effort, and I'm excited and feel really good about the cleaning procedures that we have in place here. Again, the ventilation, changing the filters more frequently. We talked about the doors being open, the indoor doors, not the outdoor doors, the indoor doors being open to increase some of that airflow. Some sneak a peek things. We are going to have some sneak a peeks. We're talking about having 20-minute Zoom sessions or Google Meet sessions, depending upon during our sneak a peek time. We're waiting to try and coordinate a few things with what our opening few days are. Teachers come in, obviously, before our students do. So we're trying to find a date and a time for that. Back to school nights, we're looking at 3 half-hour sessions via Google Meet or Zoom on September 1st from 6 to 7:30. So if you don't have that in your calendar, you can feel free to put that in there. We won't be bringing everybody into the class, into the school, but we will have time for that. Book fair we usually have in the fall. Unfortunately, we have to suspend that, as well as our field trips. We'll be suspending them and possibly considering them for the spring. We will still have fire drills. We're going to have them per class as part of a mass break in August to September. We still will have intruder drills. We'll follow all the CDC guidelines with that as well. as well as our severe weather drills. So I know sometimes it seems like, well, we're forgetting about the other safety things. We're not. We still have those, the safety, the physical safety of students, as well as the safety from the virus type of thing as well too. We still have all those measures in place, and we have a good plan for that for reopening. Again, this is shared at the school board meeting that more than 15 minutes. I know the graphic's not right here, but within somebody for within 6 feet of somebody for more than 15 minutes will be those primary contacts. So that's something to just be aware of that I know they emphasized in the school board meeting as well too. Okay, questions. There's my email. There's Mrs. Bupp's email, Peggy_Bupp@hempfieldsd.org. You have Mrs. Kasabo's email. If you made it all the way through this, thank you. I know it was a longer presentation, but I appreciate that. I wanted you to be able to see from my end how we're trying to open up our schools in the safest and best way. I have full faith in our staff. We have a fantastic faculty. We have a fantastic staff. We have a great plan set in place. I know that everybody's in the right mindset to do their best for our students. There's obviously concern and worry, but I think what we've been able to do and the procedures that we've put in place, that we're going to have an awesome 2020-2021 school year. And I really look forward to seeing the students again. I've missed them terribly since March 13th. I've been doing this now for 16 years, around 16, 17 years. And I get energy from the excitement of our students coming to school, learning, being around each other. And it's been missing. It's been like a hole in me. And I'm excited. I'm ready for August 25th. Again, if you need me, shoot me an email. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. You just stop that. And